The following is distributed by the Berean Call.
Dear Dave and Tom, why don't Christians who claim to follow the Bible do the things that it clearly says to do? For example, stone an adulterer, or stone a child that is disrespectful to his or her parents. And there are lots of other things that I have found throughout the Bible that Christians don't do. Even Jesus didn't follow the Bible's instructions by not stoning the woman caught in adultery. Seems to me that there is much inconsistency both in the Bible and in the practice of Christians.
Now, Dave, whenever we get to difficult questions like this, I immediately defer to you.
We probably answer that in not this book, but
in defense of the faith.
In defense of the faith, right.
But it's a good question, I think.
Yeah.
People think about these things. At least they're thinking.
Right. Well, if we go back and study the Old Testament, we find that God laid down the law as he wanted it to be. I mean, this is his law. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to enforcing it, well, you're going to take a guy out. The first guy that picked up sticks on the Sabbath, they stoned him. Well, but you're going to stone people for every little breach of the law. Pretty soon they're all stoned. There's nobody left to throw the stones. Sacrifices, every time you sin, you got to bring a sheep or a goat or something to the tabernacle door. You've run out of sheep. This was as it ought to be.
Mm-hmm. God's perfect standard.
Right. But God, he said, look, it was, for example, you'll find it in Exodus 33, I think it is, where Moses has come down from the mountain. They've already broken the first commandment, and Moses just smashes the tables of stone because you already broke it. Mm-hmm. Then God takes him back up and he writes it again. But anyway, in that chapter, a very instructive chapter, God says, look, well, Moses is crying out, God, if your presence doesn't go with us, we're not going anywhere. I'm not taking another step because God has said, look, I'll send an angel. I'm not going to be with you. I can't be with such a wicked, rebellious people. Well, Moses says, God, if you don't go with us, we're finished, because wherein shall it be known that we are thy people, except that you go with us? Mm-hmm. Well, then God makes some adjustments. Put the tabernacle outside of the camp, first of all. Anybody that wants to follow me, they can go outside the camp. And you get that in Hebrews chapter 13. Let us therefore go forth outside the camp unto him, bearing his reproach. Mm-hmm. Then, well, look, God in his mercy and grace is going to have to kind of, it's not that his standards have changed. No. But he's going to have to deal graciously with these people. He can't enforce this upon them to the letter, because the Bible again says, the letter killeth, but the Spirit gives life. Mm-hmm. So there are reasons, answers to these questions. Mm-hmm. But now Jesus, why didn't he stone that woman? Well, number one, see, this is, they're trying to catch him. Mm-hmm. First of all, it was unlawful for the Jews to stone anyone.
The Romans wouldn't allow it. They were the ones who were in control.
Right. That had been taken away about AD 7. And, in fact, the Messiah had to come before that happened. So it would have been violating the law. Well, but isn't God's law higher? When there had been an amazing healing of a man who couldn't walk from birth, who sat at the beautiful gate of the temple, and Peter said, silver and gold have I none. They say he was the first pope. I don't think any pope since could say that. Silver and gold have I none. They got plenty of it. But anyway, in the name of Jesus of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he was healed. Now, the rabbis are upset, and they command them, you will never again use that name of Jesus. Don't speak the name of Jesus. By the way, well, no, I won't get off on that. We got people who didn't use the name of Jesus.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Then Peter and John said, you yourselves judge whether it would be right for us to obey man or God. So that's what we had to say when we took things behind the Iron Curtain. Well, the Soviets, they don't want us to do this. Mm-hmm. But we will do it because we are obeying God. I don't know how better to explain that. Mm-hmm. So we don't stone people anymore because we're not under Roman law, but we're under American law, and you don't take the law into your own hands, capital punishment. Mm-hmm. So there are some things from the Old Testament mm-hmm. that are no longer applicable to today.
Dave, the thing I remember about this is that Abraham, or Abram, I mean, he's basically a pagan. I mean, he and Sarai, they're to start something new. And as they developed as a people group, they still had old, ideas and so on. So God's standard had to be set forth. Mm-hmm. And because they were separate people, separated unto God for the Messiah to come. And as you said, if God would have stuck with the letter of the law, they'd all be dead. And the whole point was to point to Christ. Their salvation was going to come. All of these things were types. All these things pointed to Christ, and so mm-hmm. on. And that's where mercy came.
So in John's Gospel, chapter 1, John says, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ.
For more information about the Berean Call and a free subscription to our monthly newsletter, call us at 800-937-6638 or visit our website at www.thebereancall.org.